Alright, guys, let's talk about the latest Project Veritas developments. Just got done watching Good Logic, Joe Neerman's stream. I was kind of throwing in some things there. Spent a little bit of money, but that's okay because I like Joe, and so I'm okay with giving him my money. Um, Sent him some tweets because I want the message out because I don't know how many people will see this. There are a lot of conspiracy theories going around right now. I'm recording this right now. I don't know. It's 1 in the morning. It's quarter after one, so I'm about ready to go to bed. But I wanted to get this off my chest and get it scheduled for upload or something. And the the thing that is happening here is that a news cycle and unbelievable events has a lot of people really convinced that unbelievable events are going on in Project Veritas, where it could be a much more simple explanation, and that is that James O'Keefe is a character. He is a very big personality. He has a little bit of narcissism with that, and part of that, he's earned. Okay, he's very dramatic. You could even say he's an actor because he is. He was doing that in college. That was the whole pimp get up and all that. That kind of uh, style, that theater that he has. Honestly, I think the way he does it sometimes is a little cringe, but I'm sure people think the way I do some of my videos or some of the stuff I do is cringe, and actually so do I. That's in part why I do some of the things that I do actually, because I just try to embrace cringe. Um, it's one of those things. It's like I'm going to do this poorly, right? Until I do it well, and sometimes I do it well, and sometimes I do it bad, and I do it any which way in between. But regardless, he's a force. And so, there was an opportunity for my wife to take a job here. She's going to work with a very good friend of hers and also be able to be mentored by somebody. And we're still friends with both those people. They both worked for James. They would probably agree with what I'm about to say. Now, I'm not under any sort of NDAs or anything like that. I'm talking about things that people talk about how it is to work for somebody, not anything specific. And I'm talking about things like, my experiences, the two times I've been around James. I sat right next to him at a gala for Accuracy Media in Washington, D.C. in 2019. I believe that was in November. We were later at a cigar bar, which was a very weird experience because there was a very large, imposing, and bold-headish security guard who, I mean, if I had a plainclothes security guy, I wouldn't want anyone to know who he was, and I knew exactly who he was. But then again, I'm that guy. So, but anyways, every time I went to go talk to my wife, and James was talking to her, the guy like moved in toward me. Guys, I can handle myself, but unless you knew that, you wouldn't know that because I am not. I'm a tiny man. All right, I'm not a big guy. So that was weird. But anyways, that had nothing to do with James. The point here is that I've been in these scenarios with him. I've seen him around people and donors just being himself. I've heard what other people have said. I've heard the stories from my wife. I have an understanding of how the man is. He's hard to work for. He's a type A personality on steroids. He derails people often. So on Good Logic's chat, people were saying I was some sort of shill for Pfizer, which, guys, if you only knew, I mean, we're doing all right, but I don't think my little house is in our meager lives are anything funded by Pfizer, but sure. Um, with this channel, like I couldn't get some sort of production team if that were the case, and grow this and actually make this a business instead of deliveries, which is what I've been doing for the last year, or security work, which is what I did most of my life, which I'm not going to do anymore, which is why I'm doing deliveries now because I'm trying to figure out what to do, and I will. And the wife and I have plans, and we're building. But again, you know, this is the conspiracy theory. I'm a shill, a guy who has met James O'Keefe, who has a wife who used to work for him, who kind of knows people that still work for that company. And I'm just saying, I think I'm privy to say a few things. I don't think James is a bad guy. I think James should be the head of Project Veritas in a figurehead capacity. And I think he resigned in order to not let that be because he has to have control because it's his baby. And that's the problem because he micromanages. He pulls people away. My wife worked in development, that is fundraising. The statements about the donors is about what the donors are asking for in developing those relationships. When they're talking about growing the business, they're talking about expanding the message, giving James more undercover journalists to do more work across the nation. That's what they're talking about. This isn't about greed, folks. This is about doing those kinds of things. You can say James O'Keefe is this big name and face, and he pulls in all this business, and you're absolutely right. And at the same time, if Project Veritas starts having stories explode left and right, and here and there and everywhere, then then you know some people might eat crow. Now I think that they are in danger because James just sabotaged them, and this is something that he does. He just sabotaged them by releasing this video. Tim Pool got a copy anonymously. It's not like he's not friends with Tim. It's not like he doesn't know anything about Tim's stuff. He's just dropped by their place. And of course, they would let him. It's James. You know? And that's the thing. This isn't a normal kind of guy, and everybody knows that. So, why do you think he's a normal kind of guy to work for? Would you work for him? Like, would you really do everything that he demanded of you? Imagine being in the midst of doing whatever your job is, and immediately James wants you to shift gears and do something else. Imagine you being an expert in what you do, whether you're a lawyer, a doctor, maybe you're an engineer, and James wants to tell you how to do the thing that you do. Now, he doesn't work with lawyers, doctors, and engineers, but he does work with people who run businesses and who know how to cultivate money for the cause. And without the money, you have nowhere to go. Adam Goulet is a name. He's a friend. He is the CEO of Accuracy in Media. He worked for James for some time, I believe from 2016 ish to 2019, the end of 2019. When he came in, Project Veritas was making $3 million, or had a budget of $3 million. I don't know what they were making before that. When Adam left, they had a budget of $12 million. Adam grew that. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he had set up basically he had set things up, and he had the people trained there, like the team and whatever else. So then that business then grew again to 20 million. Basically, things were in place. Um, and at the same time, Veritas was becoming popular again. And again, I knew of them. I listen to a lot of YouTube, see their videos, see the news coverage. You know, I talked to my wife about them when she was offered the job, and she didn't know that much about them. I'm actually, despite what she does, I'm like the media guru of the house, right? You would think so if you watch any of my content. I know I don't make much anymore, but you would understand that I keep my eye on a lot of things. And for my entertainment, I'm not watching sitcoms and all. I'm watching personalities, news, whatever, because that's the kind of person I am. I'm wanting to watch a fairy tale. So understand that this might actually be what's on the surface of the board, and everyone is reacting to this differently because we're in this heightened climate. Now, I'm not saying that I'm right, but I'm saying that what is going on is a possibility, and it seems like a likely possibility because I know some of the scenarios, you know, because on occasion we speak or see people who work there. Again, imagine being very focused in your work and then being pulled away or distracted. Imagine have a deadline or something to get into and not being allowed to do it because you need to be redirected some other way. Now, that might work if your business is based on a very flexible kind of thing. But once you start to get a lot of personnel under you that are dependent on you, that's not so easily done. And then there's the thing of the misattributed money. Now, 2019 at the Project Veritas Christmas party, I met James O'Keefe's fiance, who was a school teacher. She's a little blonde girl. She was sweet. And James, I talked to him for a moment. She walked up, and I talked to her, and then he just walked off. And um, you know, James is working all the time, and eventually their marriage got called off. And I don't know anything about anything that I'm just saying. I had this encounter. She's a sweet, nice lady. She's a school teacher, elementary school. I'm pretty sure. And James just became very disinterested when I wasn't talking to him directly. That was my feeling of it, and he walked away. So I don't know, because I started talking to her about education, and I don't think he wanted to talk about that, which is understandable. But again, this speaks to his character and his personality. James is a one-track pony, right? He is on this thing. He's on this mission. He's a dog with a ball. That's what he is, and he can't do the undercover journalism either. And that's the other thing is there's a team. The undercover journalism has to be done by a ton of other people. Like I had pictures. I didn't realize. I didn't think about it though after I had them. I was like, if I put them up anywhere, I got to blur everyone out because I don't know who's an undercover journalist. I'm not trying to expose anybody. So, you know, there is this chance that he was actually hindering the mission. Now, does all the stuff he do hurt them even more? 1,000%, 1,000%, and it's a big old mess. But I think it was one of those things where they were going to keep butting heads about donors and donations and how they were going to raise money. James is much more bold. He's much more willing to lose donors, where I think everyone else wants something a little bit more stable, and they want a little bit more ease in the office. Things that are, you know. I mean, James is kind of like I've heard stories where he can be a bit of a prima donna, right? That's kind of some of the accusations. Again, the guy has an acting background. He's an artist. They're a bit extreme personalities and people. I come from this background too. Like, these people. You know, if I'm an extreme personality in any way, I'm so tame compared to most of those people. Um, but yeah, it's like, yeah. Anyways, James is a character and can be hard to work with. He's not a saint. There was indiscretion with money. So part of this was the black cars. They're talking about black Ubers. They cost more. He wanted Uber Black. That's what they're talking about. I'm pretty sure. Um, the teacher. The whole point of that was he had a wedding set that got called off. The venue was booked. Veritas paid him for the venue, and he moved their Christmas party. I was at the 2019 Christmas party to that venue, which then covered his expenses. Is that ethical? Did he do anything wrong? Well, you might say, well, there was flood damage. They did have flood damage at their headquarters, but I'm pretty sure that would have been repaired by now. And they don't own it; they rent. And I think pretty sure they'd make the kind of money that they would be able to, I don't know, fix that pretty quickly or get another place or something. So, um, but then if donors see this or they're telling the people in development, the people raising the funds, hey, hey, look, guys, I'm not there. My wife doesn't work there anymore. I'm just saying there are things with CEOs sometimes, with founders. Founders can be stubborn. Founders are always there aren't always the best leaders. I think I spoke of this in the last video. I talked about this. Founders are not always the best leaders. Founders sometimes are really bad. So I I think that everyone needs to hold their horses. I think James just set up and sabotaged his own company. I think that people are saying some crazy stuff, especially Tim Pool. Tim Pool was being a wild man tonight, and his whole crew on this whole thing. And maybe I'm off base here, but I'm right a lot. I got a small little following, and it's good to see you guys around here and there. And I'm sorry I've neglected the channel, but you know I'm right a lot. And maybe, maybe there was a nefarious conspiracy theory, and I will eat crow. But maybe James was actually hindering his staff, and now he just blew up his baby because he wasn't in a tantrum because he wasn't able to have complete control over it. I'm telling you, he's a micromanager. He does love his people. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. They had like a staff retreat. My wife didn't know that I could come apparently. They had some like staff retreat up in the Adirondacks, and but see that's a lack of communication and even letting your people know. You know, I don't know if I could have gotten off work at the time. I think I was doing security work at the hospital then. I don't, but it's just like no, it wouldn't have been would it no. I don't even know because it was transitioning. I was transitioning. I was leaving there when she was starting there, so that's right. But whatever, whatever. Um, think whatever you will about it. Hey, I'm gonna upload this. I think to release in the morning, and then in the afternoon, I think around 4 p.m. I'm gonna try and stream. Now, I haven't streamed in some months, so I have to like go pay some bills on that and set some things up. But I'd like to get right back. I'd like to get back in the habit of my job and our child care situation. Not that we really have child care, but my mom helps like twice a week. And my ability, my wife's ability to work, we're all stabilizing that, and a lot of other stuff like working on big things in the background, guys. Um, but want to keep doing this because it doesn't matter where this goes for um, the size of the channel or anything. Like I've always wanted like that 1,000 subs because I could get some money or 10,000 subs or something like that, so I could maybe get some. It'd be a little bit easier to be like, hey, I have a 10,000 sub channel. Would you like to come on? Interview people. That'd be cool. But a lot of this is a record too for just for me and my own musings, my own thoughts. But I do enjoy the community and there's so many friends that I've made. Like I just responded to a message to Yiz earlier, and I haven't watched anything from Yiz in a while, or Dawn, or Sniper, or Holly, or any of the friends I've made doing this, and it's one of the wonderful things about this because it really is an interesting community of people that want to speak, and I encourage everyone to do it. So for whatever reason, if you're a little voice, you can be a guy like me. I'm one lone voice on the internet. No one will probably ever hear it, um, but it's a perspective that no one's ever going to hear, and I'm willing because I like Joe and his stuff, and I don't know if I ever chatted him before. I probably have because I like to throw creators something every now and again, but you know, like I threw him some money to try and get something out there. Perspective is different, so. Um, I think it's worthwhile because I really hate the fakeness. It's something it's it's something it's always been with me. I really hate uh, inauthenticity. So, but hey, guys, that's all I have. This has been all minus one. My name is Bill, and I wish you all well.